Good evening everybody, welcome to the studio this evening, and let me see if I can just move this lighting a bit. I'm getting a bit of bloom off this camera. I hate this camera. Mind you, I hate the lighting. Lighting is terrible. Trying to get lighting to work properly so that things light up. I don't look like I'm in complete shadow, and you can still see what I'm doing with the rings and things. Dear. What I need is lots and lots of lights all over the place. And why is my feedback window restarted again? Twitch, stop twitching. Right, well, excuse me, I've just about got over whatever it was that got hold of my voice, but it's still there a little bit. Right, so I'm going to try a new weave tonight, completely new weave, one I've never tried before. We're going to see if it works. Might do, might not. So I've got to decide what colourings to use for this. Ideally I probably need 3 different colours to start with, that way I can follow the online guide that I'm looking at, and hopefully we'll get further. So I know there's not a lot to see at the moment, but there will be, trust me. So I think we're going to work with some pink, some sky blue, I will zoom the camera a little bit in a while where I'm not throwing rings all over the place, and let's keep the sort of pastely colour. We'll go with gold rather than orange, which is the other colour option that I have more than one colour option, but that's the ones I've got a lot of to experiment with. Now then, let me start my camera control up. That will allow me to do some zoom ins when that's appropriate, and may have to adjust the lighting. So what I've got to do is open these rings. Yep, okay. So this is going to be a weave called candy cane. It looks interesting, a little bit chaotic looking, but I don't actually know. It just looked interesting to try. And it needs rings. Well, the size doesn't actually matter, but the aspect ratio does. Apparently the ideal aspect ratio for doing candy cane is 4.7. I'm using 5 with these rings, go close. It is within its acceptable range, so it should work. And I might even, I'm trying this with these, but I might try it with some aspect ratio 5.4, which will, well, they are a larger ring as well, but that's kind of beside the point. With chainmail, it's not necessarily the size of the ring that matters, well, it is in some cases, but for a lot of weaves it's to do with the aspect ratio, the magic number, which is the diameter of the wire divided by the inside diameter of the ring, and that magic number controls a lot of the weaves as to whether they'll actually work. By work I mean hold their shape or fall apart completely. Now in some cases it is the actual size of the ring that matters, the internal diameter. Almost always it's the internal diameter. For example, if I want to put 4 rings through the centre of one other ring, then obviously the centre of that other ring has to be big enough to accommodate for 4 sets of wire diameter. So sometimes the ring size does matter. Largely speaking, though, it's not a fantastically of concern in actually performing the weaves. Obviously, sometimes you want a little dainty bracelet, and therefore you don't want to be using 1/2 inch wide rings, etc. But that, as I say, is more to do with the aesthetics than the actual performance of the weave. Now then, so all I'm doing here is opening rings. Opening them basically means making the gap between the two ends wide enough so that I can pass at least one other ring through the gap. And I'm opening a few. It saves time doing one at a time whilst I'm weaving. It means potentially I can keep hold of the weave, which usually is quite important right at the start, because a lot of weaves won't hold their shape until you've got a good dozen rings in place, depending on the weave. Some are better than others in that respect. Byzantine, for example, holds its position as soon as you get 6 rings. Half Persian probably takes something like about 8 to 10 rings before it will hold its shape. Full Persian is about 6. Helm basically holds its position almost straight away with the first set of rings, so they all vary a little bit. So this one is, I say, kind of made up of 3. Well, it doesn't have to be 3 colours. There's sort of a repeating pattern of rings that repeats such that if you use 3 colours, it repeats naturally. But you can use as many colours as you like. You just keep changing them whenever you feel like it. Depending on the effect that you're after. But for me, learning this, I'm going to stick with the 3. That way I can keep track of what's going on a little bit easier. Lighting's a little bit odd. Getting shadows off my glasses, I'm afraid. Kind of need some larger studio lights that do all the filling and stuff like that, rather than sort of just the one main light that's in front of me at the moment. Yeah, I am going to have to move it because there's not enough light on what I'm actually doing, I don't think. So if I zoom in, it'll probably get too dark for the camera. So I shall just open the remaining pink rings, and then I will adjust the lighting again. And see if we can make it a little bit better for seeing what I'm doing. Excuse me. Okay, one more, we'll finish opening those. Let's see what I can do with the light. Fortunately now you're getting some light feed bleeding straight into this camera here. Dear. Well, let's see how that goes. Let's zoom in a little bit. And we shall start. What ring shall I start? We'll start with the pink. So I'll start by closing. Having opened these, I'll start by closing 4 of them. Actually, I'm going to start by changing my glasses. That'll make it a little bit easier for me to see. See, I was kind of thinking that what I might try doing at some point, if it'll work, is I have a magnifying lens which I use for working on tiny stuff with stuff like carving and paint and airbrushing and things like that. And it actually has an inbuilt light, so I was kind of thinking maybe of putting it here so I can look through it and put the main camera sort of underneath so it can see what I'm doing, and then sorting this camera out in some way so it still can see me. It's complicated, does all this lighting and camera work stuff. Right, so I've got 4 closed rings. This one has opened itself slightly, so we'll just tweak it. Right, so we start by putting these 4 on here. And I close that ring. Then I put another ring through all 4. That gives me my starting position. Now what I'm going to do is just find over here a little bit of, well, a cable tie basically, which I am going to feed through the 2 rings that sit here with the 4 on them. And I do that so I can tell which is the start, but the rings will do that for me in this particular case, but it gives me something to hold on to, because otherwise these are quite hard to hold on to. And I've put that through the wrong 2 rings, so already I started and made a mistake. It's a box or a Byzantine start, so I actually want it through the 2 end ones, like that. Because what we'll then do is turn those 2 back on themselves. Actually, what I could do with getting out is a cocktail stick. I broke my other cocktail stick from yesterday. Trying to use it to lever something that you shouldn't use a cocktail stick to lever. I have quite a few. I use them for when I'm airbrushing for mixing paint. So I'd feed those 2 back on themselves, and then that would be the first section of a Byzantine link. Actually, it's the first section of a box link as well. So we've got that, and we start from there. So what I'm supposed to do is sort of squash this apparently like that, and then I take another ring like, I don't know, these pale blue ones, and I am supposed to put this he says. Through those two. No, not those three. Those two. Okay. I don't know if this is right. It looks odd, but given that I don't know what I'm doing, it looking odd is not particularly a qualification. So those two there through there. Then apparently, having done that, I do exactly the same thing on the other side. Which is to go through two like that. No, not like that, because I've got the wrong number there. Okay, flip that back over there, get hold of that blue ring up there. God, this looks like a bit of a mess. It is making me wonder whether I've done it right, but I'm sure I have. So it's gone through those two. So I think I'm supposed to go through that one and that one. So I hope this stabilizes really quickly, because at the moment it doesn't look really stable. Stable means it holds its shape. Okay. So that's that step. Yeah, it looks somewhat like that. Well, it looks like the diagram. So now I'm supposed to do that, I think, which is sort of like squash it the other way. So I've got to go through there, through those two and through there with the yellow ring. Okay, so through that, there, and through the blue one as well, like that. Kaliati, hello, welcome to the studio this evening. Nice to see you again. And you are here watching me attempt something I've never tried before, which is a brand new weave. And I've picked what is probably a relatively complex one to have a go at, called candy cane. And I have no idea what I'm doing. I am following a diagram. Yeah, that kind of looks... No, yeah, okay. So if I turn it that way, it kind of looks like the picture I've got. So now I want the pink rings. And I go through a blue, I will get through that ring, blue ring, whether you like it or not, so you might as well let me. There we go, like that. I know at the bottom of this explanation it kind of goes, you've got the hang of it now, repeat what you've just done. And I'm going, I'm not sure I've got the hang of it just yet, but we shall see. And then assume that having done that, I do exactly the same thing on the other side. Yep, that's right. So I go through that yellow ring and I go through that blue ring like that. Okay. Yeah, it kind of looks like that. Well, I'm getting further. So now I go with a blue ring. Through there. That, and there. Like that. I don't know, maybe I'm getting the hang of this. A new weave. Fun it is. It's always fun. Well, it is always fun to learn a new weave, to be actually able to do it and produce something that looks quite pretty. And candy cane looked interesting to me because of that. It looked like it was going to be really pretty. It sounded nice as well. Okay, close that. So I just get hold of those two there. It's sort of it sort of looks really complicated. And I'm kind of surprised I've got that far, and I don't think I've messed up, which sort of surprises me a bit. But we've got the two blue. Right, so I've done that step and I've done that step. So I'll do that. Okay, and then I go, what did I use next? Yellow. So I put yellow through there and there. Okay. I know the rinse and repeat bit's coming up, but I haven't got to the bit which I can rinse and repeat. I know that's got to go that one and that one there. How have I been? Not too bad, thank you, Cagliati. I did have some sort of virus infection, cold-like thing. At the beginning of this week. And do it again. Okay, so pink, and it's been affecting my voice all week, but I'm hopefully getting better. And is it pink? Yeah, it is pink, isn't it? Blue and yellow, yeah. And apart from that, And the other difficulties has been with the PC, with Mail and Windows 8, 9, 10, Windows 10. A minor problem with Windows 10, but so you've been busy with school. Okay, well that's the best thing to be, is to do well with the school stuff. Don't skimp with that, because you'll regret it later if you do. Chocolate is being consumed in the room. It's a good job I don't want any. So we use pink, we go back onto blue now, and I think yeah, this is a bit where it says you should have got the hang of this now. So it's like that and through the two corners. No, it's like that and through the two corners. Okay. School started on the 10th. Ah dear. Well, better you do it now than later. It's easier now than it is later in life. And it never gets any easier, so I was just about to say at least it's the weekend, but you've probably got things like homework and stuff to do as well, coursework at home. That is one advantage of working. You don't get, well, I was about to say you don't get homework. That's not always true. But at least that's a choice rather than being mandated. Now then, I have to go through that, pick up that, go through there, and then go through that blue one. I think that's right. And the way this looks, I wouldn't know if I was right or wrong. So take another yellow one. We go through there, through the pink, through the yellow, through the pink, through the yellow, through the yellow. Come on, that's it. And you're going to go through that blue as well, so you might as well do it for me. There we go. Ah well, I guess weekend off. Right, that yellow ring has just slipped back a little bit. Let me just tweak it. These rings sometimes just they've got like a little memory effect. So the wire sometimes just reverts back a little bit. So there we go. That's what it's starting to look like. And interesting. So we shall carry on with it and see how we go. So I've just put yellow on, so I'm going back to pink. And I think I probably have got the hang of this now. So we go through there. I am still referring to a picture I've got on screen. As you can see, when I look over to one side, that's my other screen just over there. So I am looking at that for the helpful assistance of a diagram. Okay, so that's those two. Now then, I go with blue next, and I go through that, that, and that one. Japanese. Wow. That's supposed... Is it Japanese or Chinese? That's supposed to be one of the hardest languages to learn. Or am I getting confused? Well, good luck with Japanese. I have in my time tried to learn a couple of languages. I had learned a couple at school, and I did try and learn one afterwards, but most of my languages these days are computer languages. Although I did know Morse code at one point, which is that a language or more of a representation, but it's, you know, you don't hear English. No, I was about to say, it's a weird thing is Morse code, because I was about to say you don't hear English words, but actually you do. It's a real weird thing. You hear a sequence of dots and dashes, or dits and dars as they get called, and you actually almost hear them as a word, and it's a weird phenomenon. It's a bit like when you're learning a language, and once you've got the hang of the language, there's a point at which you stop translating the language and start listening to it and understanding it natively, so to speak. And what's God's the same? Chinese is one I'm probably thinking. Okay. Otherwise, like Korean and Japanese. Oh well, that's good then. If they've actually made it easy, made it to be easy to learn on purpose, that suggests that Korean is a manufactured language, a relatively young language that somebody or the country decided to actually create for itself. I don't know. Is that true, or is it just that it's at some point in their history they decided just to sort of get rid of all the anomalies that are present in other languages? Because Esperanto is a manufactured language. That was supposed to be easy to learn. I mean, I don't know whether anybody actually ever speaks that, apart from Red Dwarf. If you're familiar with that program. Yellow, pink again. Right, so I shall have to open some more rings in a moment. Because that's the last of the pink rings I've got here. What have I got wrong? I've got something wrong there. Through the yellow, through the blue, through the pink, and through that yellow. There we go. hold it that way, and then we put the blue through. I quite like this weave. It was easy to start. There again, given that it had a Byzantine start, Byzantine is an easy to start weave, and it stays in position, so that helped enormously. And yeah, through those two. Yeah. I got lost for the minute then. So yellow ones. You mean you might learn it in a couple of I don't think I'll be giving it a try though. Come on. Oh yeah, through there. That's it. I prefer being creative in other ways rather than languages, shall we say. So through there, through there, through there, and through there, like that. Well, I was this was a kind of a trial length of chain, but I think what I'm going to do is continue this into a full bracelet length. Got a feeling maybe I've made a odd mistake somewhere around there, but it's kind of hard to tell. It is. It's hard to tell. Let me just open some more pink rings. Let's put that down here where it can be seen. There we go. Well, yeah, obviously obviously, but having an interest in a language, certainly makes it easier to learn, I think. Yeah, there's a whole load of pink. Well, I'll open these, and I'll open some. Well, I could open some more. Let's try my little finger ring here. I could open some more blue, I guess, because we'll need some shortly anyway. That ring's closed, so where's the end on there? There it is. Okay, I have to remember to stay on frame. So this is, well, I just started using this. I've had it a little while, but this is sort of finger ring type thing. Fairly heavy duty, but it's got slots good in the side, which is just about the right width for a ring. So rather than having to hold it with a pair of pliers on one side, you can sort of just get hold of it, put it in the slot and twist, which is a little bit faster than trying to position pliers and get, you know, pick them up, put them down if necessary and things like that. So the idea is, of course, it speeds up what you're doing. And whilst opening rings is part of the fun of the craft, it is also not necessarily the most interesting bit of the craft. So the sooner you get through it sometimes the better. You can't exactly use it for closing though, because if I wanted to close rings now, because the one thing you have to do in closing a ring is not just twist it, but push the ends together slightly. And I can't do that with this particular tool. I actually have to hold both sides of the gap in pliers to be able to do that. That one's already open. And almost with this you kind of can't, with pliers you can sort of get hold of the two ends of the pliers in such a way that you can't actually twist it open. And with the ring, as long as I've got hold of the end, it almost can't happen like that. So again, it's another speed. So okay. Another speed technique. So let's do a few blue, since it is reasonably quick. Which will save a bit of time later on. And I'll do a few gold as well. Okay, so that's a few blue done, almost. And yeah, gold. These are gold rather than yellow, just to show you the difference. These are yellow and they're gold. You can't see that so much there, but the yellows are somewhat brighter colour than the gold. The gold is sort of a paler colour. The camera's not showing the difference that well. It's not really good, isn't it, for colour, isn't this camera? Or maybe the lighting isn't that good for colour. But these are really sort of almost, I won't say fluorescent yellow, but they're sort of getting that way. And these are sort of a nice gold coloured yellow. Yeah, I suspect some of the lighting problems are down to, well, your eyes do a heck of a lot lighting wise that cameras don't, and there's a couple of things to do with lighting that make a big difference to how cameras represent colour, and one of those is the colour temperature of the light. In other words, how hot it is really, or how much colour is in the light. Well, what am I trying to say? That ring is no good. Colour temperature is measured in degrees, and the larger the number, the hotter the fire would be to produce light of that colour, I suppose is the best way of describing it. And effectively, the hotter or the larger the temperature, the more blue there is in the light and the less orange. And there's nothing to do with what they call colour rendering index, CRI, which is how well the light actually illuminates a colour correctly. It's a bit of a complicated thing. I don't really understand it that much myself, except the nearer to 100% you can get with the colour rendering index, the better. And I don't think these lights I've got here have got anything, they're not even calibrated in that way. Right, so there we go. Ray America, good evening. Welcome to the studio this evening. You are in time to see me not making up a weave, doing a brand new weave, one that I have not done before. And I hold it that way and put a pink ring through here. So this is a chainmaille weave that I was about to say I've never done it before. I've been doing it for about the last 40 minutes or so, but it's brand new on this this stream. Pink through, put it through that side, and now put it through this side. Like, you know, rings, you are going to get there. There we go. That's it. It's called candy cane. And it kind of looked like a candy cane. A little bit chaotic to me, which is, but regular but chaotic. I'll show you. Let me just put a cocktail stick through there so I can hold it. That's kind of what it looks like. It is possible that I've made a mistake somewhere in there, but I couldn't tell if I had. Maybe that's out of focus a little bit, isn't it? There we go. Maybe an expert could tell. I think it's supposed to spiral around the weave, you know, like the blue is supposed to spiral around. So it kind of looks like I've made a mistake, but I'm not sure. You know, Danny, I am not about to give you an answer because of the way in which you are being somewhat impolite. Right, so having done that, I then take the blue and we pass it through those rings there. Nope, I've missed the pink ring. So pink, yellow, blue, and that final pink ring there, and pick up. There we go. And now do the same thing on the other side. Pink, yellow, pink, yellow. Come on, pick up the yellow, that's it. And the blue, don't slip out. And then the final pink. You are going to go through that. There we go. That's right. Talk to the rings. They go where you want them to do then. Ah, you've made the crosses. Okay. That's fair enough, Danny Gold. In which case, I will answer your question. You've made the you used a full Persian Rainmaker. Oh, that's good. Yeah, because the full Persian can be made quite a tight weave for making crosses. Have you got any pictures, or is it a little bit secret? Danny, the actual answer is a little bit of both. It does help to have them for these rings are easy to pick up, but when they're closed, or when they are in their sort of natural state, it does help to have reasonably long nails to pick them up, because they're hard enough to pick up as it is. But they are a little bit longer than they need to be at the moment, and they were about to be cut. But so there you go. It's a bit of both. Some of the other crafts that I do, it helps as well. If I'm airbrushing, for example, having nails helps clean the edge of the needle. And for some of the things like the punch craft, it helps to get hold of bits of thread that are there. Because whilst you can use things like tweezers, sometimes they catch too many other things. Right, so that wants to go that way when I put these yellow rings through. Oh, it's alright. Just curious. I always like to see what other people have done craft wise. And so the yellow goes through this side. Everything's kind of mirrored when you're doing this, or so it seems anyway. So I do it on one side, then I do it on the other. And the nice thing about having these in sort of three piles, although you can't see the blue, they're just off camera, is that I'm going around in a circle. I don't forget where I've got to, which is quite nice. Because sometimes when you look at a weave and you can't quite tell what your next colour is supposed to be. So that's the blue and the pink. Come on, pick up the pink as well. And the yellow, there we go. Yeah, okay, Rainmaker, that would be fine. So pink, blue, pink and yellow. It's actually, I mean, while this weave actually looks really complicated, it actually isn't as complicated as it looks. It's one of those things that looks complicated until you know how it's done, and then it becomes a lot simpler. And I hold it that way to put the next colour through, which is the blue. That's long. What's long? The length of this chain so far, or something else? Come on, Brings. You know, I know you're fighting me, but you're not going to succeed. I'm going to win. I'm going to win because I'm the one with the pliers. There, you see. Oh, you're Link. Sometimes links are like that. Sometimes and I know when I do it at work, the stuff we use at work, some of the links are sort of about 200 characters long, and yet you only need about the first bit of it. The rest is just stuff that isn't the system likes to have if you've got it. There's a short one. Let's have a look at that. Oh, silver with a nice do you find, if you've done it the same way as that Waymaker, do you find that the two arms on the side start to fall down a little bit, or have you managed to or they managed to sort of sit in place? Because I've seen that done. You couldn't get the ring in the centre. Yeah, trying to get through the ends. There's two rings in the centre. There's one on each side. One of the things you can do apparently with that is, you know how the two big rings in the centre sort of sandwich, like a sandwich, with a little bit of the Persian going between them. Apparently what you can do is on the bottom, beneath the two short arms, you can take a ring, like a small ring, and pass it just around the two large rings, but between the between the arm and the base leg. So it just sits in between there, and it takes up a bit of space. And by taking up a bit of space, it stops the side arms from drooping down a little bit, if that makes sense. And then probably what you'd do is put another one, another two above the arms, just to even it out. Okay. Legioni, thank you very much for following. That is most kind of you. I do appreciate you doing that. Thank you very much. That's not a problem. It's not my idea. I saw it done somewhere, or on another, or maybe on a YouTube video or something. So, but obviously, quite happy to pass it on if that's the case. But yeah, Mickey. I suppose potentially that there is a potential there, isn't it, to make it? I suppose there's enough space on the side of a long piece of half Persian, full Persian, maybe to link in the on the edge the two arms, but I'm guessing then they will droop down quite a lot, so because there'd be nothing to hold them up then. I suppose what you could do is something like that, though, if you've done like a long piece and two short ones, or even with the ring in the middle, there's nothing to stop you using like little tiny small rings, these sorts of this sort of size rings, say for example, and just making up a like a little chain to go from each of the two arms up to the top. So you make like and then down to the bottom, I guess, and make it like a kite shape as well. That would be might be a different way of doing it. I'll just put that through there. What type of metal am I using? These are aluminium rings, and they've been anodized. So it's aluminium anodized with the various colours. I do have some titanium rings around here, which not on this stream, but maybe a little bit later on. That camera's now moved again. These in this bag are titanium. I've got some greenish looking ones as well. I've tried using these already. They're really hard to twist, being titanium. But they're not bad. They're an interesting different metal, which I thought I'd try. And one of these days, one of the things I do want to try is some sterling silver ones. I'd love to make a sterling silver bracelet. Now then, so yellow, so blue through the pink, through the yellow, and through the other blue. Have I done that right? That went through there so easily, I was wondering if I'd done it right, and I have. Oh. Thank you, Legendary. Do you have any rustage? You only work with gold. Gold is expensive. I wouldn't mind trying. Well, I wouldn't mind trying gold. I'd probably get as far as filled gold, but not. I very much doubt I'll ever get a chance to work with anything, not even 9-carat gold, but anything. I certainly won't get anything more pure than that. Any rust problems with aluminium? No, you don't get any rust problems with aluminium. The reason being that they're already rusted. Rust is oxidization, to give it its proper name, which on something like steel or iron is obviously that brown stuff that flakes off, ferrous oxide. Aluminium oxide is a white powder. Well, it's a white compound, and if you manage to scrape it off, it becomes a powder. But aluminium oxide is very, very resistant to any further oxidization. So if you get aluminium that's oxidized, rusted, it sort of gets a whitish coating on it, and it stops rusting basically. The anodization process effectively chemically oxidizes the metal, and then the dye, what you're dyeing is not the metal but the oxidization which is on the surface, and it's bonded really hard, so it doesn't come off that easily. So if you like, aluminium, these rings are pre-rusted. Which is why they're not affected by things like skin oils, for example. Don't tend to affect them very much because of the oxide coating, which basically stops just about anything getting to the aluminium. You can eventually dissolve aluminium if you really want to try hard, by sort of mixing various acids and changing them and things like that, but effectively it's quite a hard job to do. So I just put yellow on, so I'm back to pink, and I go through this corner. Aluminium is very soft, so is gold. In fact, I think gold is probably softer than aluminium. But to be honest, it's the strength in itself isn't necessarily the strength of the metal itself. I mean, this is 19 gauge wire. So it's 1mm diameter wire, and if you take a reel of wire 1mm diameter, you can quite easily bend it. It's not a problem. You can unwind the wire, twist it, do all sorts of things. But once you start to form it into a ring, then well, the shape itself has an effect. I mean, these rings are, sorry, I'm just trying to get this through the right place. One of the things you'll know if you work with the rings is that you've got to squeeze these together. It's relatively difficult to do so. It's not like I've had a long piece of wire and I just bend the wire. It's really easy to do. This, it actually takes quite a bit of force to bend them in. But the main thing about the rings, and when they're woven like this, and it's one reason for weaving rings, is they share the load. So this can take quite a lot of pulling on it, and it won't distort. There's, if I remember rightly, through every ring there's 6 other rings pass. So, and through each of those 6 rings that have passed through the one ring, 6 rings pass through each of those. So they share the load. So bracelets, chains, to all intents and purposes, the jewellery purposes anyway, they don't stretch, they don't bend or anything like that. You have to apply quite some force to do that. Yeah, I mean, if you want strong rings, things like titanium rings, but even though them, your titanium wire of the same size, you can bend it. It's when there's something about, well, I don't know technically what it gets into, but there's something about bending it into this ring shape. Once you start to sort of form that shape, it starts to get harder to misshape them, so to speak. Plus, I guess the twisting a ring is different to bending it either way, because of the to squeeze it shut, you're putting part of the metal into compression, so you're actually trying to squeeze metal, which is not very easy to do. You're trying to squeeze the bottom of it. You bought some off eBay, and that was I don't know. It's almost a case. Well, yeah, okay. I guess they could. I've never bought any of that from a couple of shops that I've bought stuff from. Providing the anodization process is done well, then there kind of shouldn't really be a problem with them. You'll get different quality if they've been machine cut rather than saw cut, to do with the edges. But otherwise, I don't know, maybe you got some different metal rings, copper perhaps. Quite often these are aluminium. They used to use copper and enamel coat it, so glass coat it basically, to create the colours. So maybe that's you've got some copper rings. I've used blue, so now yellow. So, Legini, what do you make out of gold? Have I done that? No, I have not done that. I've done that through the wrong side. So that wanted to go through that side there. Is that correct now? Like that? Yeah, it is. Well, almost. So one of those like that there. I'm guessing if I do it in the wrong corner, then I start turning the wrong way, twisting it the wrong way. That may be the mistake I made earlier if I've done it, but I can't tell. But I do know, having done that over that side, this one goes in, oops, in that corner there. And now pink again. So through the yellow, through the, well, yellow, gold, through the blue, through the pink, and back through the yellow. Have I got this focus? Let me focus looks about right. Let me just tweak it a little bit. That's a bit better there. Right, so that was pink, yeah. Pink, blue, pink, blue, pink. Frustration. No. Pink, blue, pink, blue. There. And is that, well, that pink ring wants a little tweak, and something doesn't look right there. I don't think that one's in the right place, so I'm going to take that one out and try again. No, it wasn't. There we go, that's the way it should be. Or as Basil Bush used to say, that's the way to do it. And that was for those of you that don't know, Basil Bush was a puppet on UK TV. And so that way, and then I take blue and go through that edge there. And whilst I say blue, this is actually a colour which is called sky blue, rather than being sort of in contrast to the actual blue, which is a royal blue. So you can see it's the blues, the two different blues. But since I've got only 3 colours on the desk, it's easier to just call it blue to myself than it is to keep calling it sky blue. Same as I keep calling the next colour, which I keep calling yellow. In actual fact, it's not yellow, it's gold. Gold being the colour, not the metal. Still haven't got the hang of which way to hold this to put this next ring on. It's got to be held kind of that way, and then the ring goes through top left and bottom right, so through there. And if you do it through the other one, I suppose it doesn't twist properly. Well, thank you very much for joining in the journey. If you do work with gold, if you want to show any of the gold work off next time, just let me know. Or if you stream it, let me know. That would be interesting to see. So, oh, blue. Oh, that one, that one, that one, and that one. Okay, have a good evening, Legionny. And hold it that way, yep, and put that through that one and that one. By the time I finish this to bracelet length, I'm going to have worked out which way to hold it, and it's only going to be, I'll probably remember on the very last round of rings which is the right way. But that's what practice is for, isn't it? I mean, it's if you could remember exactly how to do things every time, you wouldn't need to practice. Okay, get hold of those. Put yellow back to pink. So through the yellow, through the blue, through the pink, and back through the yellow. I wonder what this would look like in sort of Christmassy type colours, green and red and purple. That might be an interesting one to try out on the next stream. Doubt we'll get round to it on this one, but okay. So where is the? There's the. Pink and that yellow as well. There we go. That's right. Yeah, that looks right to me. And hold it that way. I'm getting there. I'll just put these, well, I'll put blue and yellow on, and then we'll just take another look at it. I don't actually know how long this has got. And we'll take a look at how far we need to go. All right. That's just a simple. Now, I just thought I saw this pink ring down here. Just misplaced it. Just displaced itself, but it hasn't. Nope, no, there's that one. When what you get with the rings, blue yellow's next, is whilst the ring is yellow, the cut surface is silver. And sometimes you catch a flash of silver, and because the rings have a memory effect has pulled them back a little bit, but also with a fairly bright light just above me here, I'm getting like a white flash off them anyway, from which is reflection off the light, and so I'm sometimes looking for rings which have opened slightly when they're not actually there. Kondar, good evening, welcome. Oh, excuse me. Something's tickling my throat. Tell you what, I'll show you what it looks like. There we go. 3 different colours, sky blue, pink and gold, is in that chain there. Right, so I shall carry on a little bit. Now that I've recovered from coughing, something just tickling me. I've had a sort of an infection since last weekend. Don't quite know what it is. It kind of affected my gave me a sore throat for a day, but then it's kind of affected my voice for the rest of the week. People ask if you need patience to do this. No, except when that happens. And especially if you've just spent a lot of time just trying to get a ring to go through a particular place. It wasn't too bad. It's not too bad on this weave, but sometimes they can be really awkward. And you do something like that, you just drop it accidentally and the ring pops out and you've got to do it all again. This one wasn't so bad, and that blue ring does need closing again. For those of you who haven't caught it before, the rings, when they're made, they're made with the process of making them leaves them with a slight gap, and also leaves the two ends displaced from each other slightly. And so when you weave them like this and close them up, what can happen is the wire or the ring remembers the position it was in before you closed it. It's a memory effect, and what then happens is over the next few minutes, having closed it, the ring gradually, so it's a bit like stretching a rubber band, and then it's slowly relaxing back, and so the rings sometimes will just gradually try and revert back to their original position, and it's only a little bit, but it's enough to just displace them slightly, and it becomes visible, and I go back then like a pink one there and just tweak it slightly to put it back into position. That way I think, hey, I got it right this time. What you're seeing me do is just twisting the ring backwards and forwards a little bit, and that's to work harden it or reset the memory effect, and then stiffen the ring a little bit so that it doesn't want to revert back. Cronanda, I couldn't tell you at this moment in time because I've not finished it, to be honest. I don't know how many rings it's going to take, and I don't know how long it's actually going to take to do, and both of those are factors. If it'll be after the stream at least before I work that out, so if you are interested, if you send me a Twitch message, then I'll be quite happy to let you know. I'm assuming you're in France, so I can tell you what the postage would be as well then, if you're interested. So that's that way, and So I'm just losing track of where I was. There we go. So that goes through there, through that one, and through there. Oh no. No, that wants to be that way. That's all. It's going to be the end. It's going to be the end of this chain before I get the hang of which way that goes. It has to go that way in order to keep the twist going in the right direction. Thank you very much, Conander, and good luck with your music. Next time you're around, tell me about your music. It'd be interesting to know about. And thank you for dropping in. Those two now, we're back. So we can get back to these pink rings. I was going to measure it, but there's only about 4 inches in there, I think, so far at most. Ooh, pink. It's kind of the, I was going to say kind of the problem with things like this, where you literally are putting 6 rings through every ring. Effectively, what that means is it doesn't progress as fast as some other weaves. So something like a helm weave, and I'll show you one in a moment. It's quite an open weave, and it progresses relatively fast. So I'll just put that down. So. Absolutely. So that's a helm weave, and the 1/4 inch rings in this particular case. So as you can imagine, it only takes 5 rings, and you've got 1/2 inch. And it doesn't, relatively speaking, it doesn't take as long to put those 5 rings together and get 1/2 inch as it does to take 6 rings and get probably 1/8 of an inch. In something like this. So as you can see, it takes with these more complex and like 6-in-1 type weaves, it does take a fair bit of extra time to sort of progress. So I got it wrong again. It's that way. Yellow, pink. I've just done pink, so blue next. I do like the look of this. I kind of picked these colours. Well, I suppose I kind of think of candy as pale colours, and candy canes as sort of palish colours. But there again, I also think of candy cane as kind of like red and white. But so it's kind of think of it in 2 completely different ways, but it kind of does remind me of sort of sweets and candy and that sort of thing, which is why I picked these colours. But as I say, I might try some more bold ones on the next to make the next one of these. Yep. No, I've not done one of those, Ray America. Dragon scale is yeah, is the one that you mean. It's on the list of things to try. Is dragon scale. I think, I mean, this, without being too stereotypical about it, is more of a feminine colour scheme and style. Things like dragon scale and well, things like the box here, or even like this one, which is a half Persian, which is sort of more flat and wide, like the dragon scale would be, tend to be more of interest to fellas, shall we say. But yes, I'd love to be able to try one of those. I think I've got the right size of rings to do that, and you know, maybe that'll be, I mean, once I've tried different colours in this one, and possibly with a larger ring size, maybe that'll be the next one to try, is a dragon scale, because I quite like to do a sort of fairly wide bracelet, because you can you know, with something like a dragon scale, you can actually make chokers out of it as well. And I got that wrong, it's that way again. So I have just done yellow, so it's pink. You know what size? What size what, Ray America? You could be referring to about any of three different things: ring size, or bracelet choker size, or something else. Size and gauge. What, for dragon scale? No, not off the top of my head. There's two sizes involved in it, and it's not some, well, it's not some, but it's like with all of the weaves, it's not so much the size and gauge of the rings. The dragon scale, probably, yeah. It well, it's things like aspect ratios, but with the dragon scale, I know that there's a couple of key things with it, and I'm just picking rings at random here. Whatever ring you use a large ring and a small ring, but the small ring has got to be able to pass through the large ring. This one doesn't. Okay, so if I use that, and I don't know whether this ring is suitable, if that ring was suitable, this one isn't, because it won't pass through the centre, and it has to do, from what I remember of dragon scale. So I mean, this is a 3/16 5mm internal diameter. I'd probably need to go to at least 4, possibly 3, to work with that particular ring. Or this one is a quarter inch in millimeters, 6.6 internal, so I'd probably need to go to something like 7 or 8 millimeters to work with that ring. Otherwise I'd just have to look it up to be honest. Indeed, you're right. Something, well, for example, you just as an example, this is a full, you recognise this is a full Persian. Okay, this is made with 18 gauge quarter inch internal diameter rings, and as you can see, it's nice and fluid. If I just go digging on my desk, this was made with 18 gauge, I think that's 3/16. Hang on, let me just check. 5/32, almost the same. this one isn't, it's not as flexible. As this one. And that's, it's still workable, but it's only just workable. That's more what you'd use for your for things like your cross. And it's still slightly flexible. The cross probably would be better with a slightly different size rings. It's all to do with aspect, what they call aspect ratio. It's a magic number. And what that number is it's the diameter of the wire. Like in the case of this big one here, the wire is 1.2 millimeters diameter, and the internal diameter of the ring when it's closed. So quarter inch, for example, or you got to measure in the same thing. So 1.2 millimeter diameter wire and 6.6 millimeter internal diameter of the ring. So you divide one by the other. So 6.6 divided by 1.2 gives you 5.4. 5.4 is the aspect ratio, or the magic number. Now, if you look up a lot of instructions on weaves, they'll tell you three aspect. They'll give you three. Generally speaking, they'll give you three aspect ratios if they're good with the instructions. They'll give you the minimum, the maximum, and the ideal. So the minimum and maximum, if you try an aspect ratio below it or above the maximum, either you physically can't get the rings inside each other, or they're so tight that the thing just doesn't move. And just as an example, this is a piece of half Persian. Okay, it hardly moves at all, and yet this is exactly the same weave. Actually, it's not. This one's exactly the same weave, and this one is all flexible. They've got two different aspect ratios. It's not the size of the rings as such, it's the aspect ratio of the rings that matters in some of these weaves like this. So as you can see, this one is all flexible, that one stands out, and this one is actually so tight to weave it was getting really difficult even at that length. But I just wanted to try the little tiny rings. And there's, you know, these, for example, this one almost bends back on itself. This one hardly bends at all. So what you look out for, what you calculate, is the aspect ratio. There are certain ones where it is physical ring size, like the dragon scale, where one has to go through another, and this as well. This is helm, and the pink rings have to be a certain physical internal diameter. For whatever rings you've used on the outside, the pink rings have got to be able to go around that sandwich of 5. You can see it there. If those pink rings are too small, it just physically won't work. They just won't go around. If they're too big, then what happens is this ring in the middle, which really is loose, just flops around too much, and it doesn't look very good. So it's kind of like there's a very small range that these pink rings work in, and here's another version of the same thing. So here you can see this was a little bit more looser than this one, not much, but just a little bit, and that's because effectively these pink rings are a little bit too big in this particular case. And I've got another one around here somewhere. Where it's if I can, no, I can't find. Oh, there we go. So in this particular case, again, the pink rings are slightly too big again. Well, I say slightly too big. They're actually ideal in this particular case because for a bracelet it allows these rings to bend enough. So they're slightly bigger, which means the whole thing is sort of slightly loose. Whereas with this blue one, the pink rings are slightly too, well, they're too tight, if you like, to work as a bracelet. They don't bend enough, so it works ideally as a necklace. So there you go. Aspect ratios and ring sizes. Okay, let me put that to one side and let me just do a little bit more on this. I've just done those, so pink, blue. Let me just do a little bit more on this because we're getting close towards the end of the stream. So let's just see if I can use up my my rings here, and then we'll have a nice stopping point. Pink, yellow, pick up the blue and out through that pink. That's it. And then I hold it that way. I got it wrong again. And pick that one and that one. Yeah, apparently for this particular weave the ideal is 4.7, so I'm using 5 at the moment. Aspect ratio 5 rings, and I think 4, something like 4.2, 4.3 is the absolute minimum for this. Yellow, pink. I don't know what the upper limit is on this one though. We'll try tomorrow. We'll try some 5.4. You tend to know fairly quickly whether something works or not. So if you got some instructions that tell you, great. If you haven't, then a little bit of experimentation soon tells you. On the other hand, if you're looking to buy rings to do it with, then you're going to have to find the relevant aspect ratios. So that one is, no, I'm still holding it wrong again. It's that way. That's the pink. Pick up blue. No, I've got an odd number of blue rings left. Oh well. 2, 4, 6, 7. I was about to say I've got almost exactly the same number of rings left of each colour, but I actually haven't. I've got more pink. No, I don't make my own. I kind of have considered it. You make them from wire and over a metal former called a mandrel. Basically just a metal rod or a metal tube, and you wrap the wire around it and relax. Give it time for the memory effect to wear off, and then slide it off the mandrel and cut the rings with a really fine saw. it's a bit of work, to be honest. I've thought about it. That's as far as I've got. Might try it one day in the future just to try it and see, but not got any particular plans to do it that way. Yellow, pink. The kind of hard part about it is cutting the rings, holding them as a coil and then cutting them with a fine saw, because you want, ideally you want saw cut rather than what they call machine cut or pliers cut. The saw cut creates a nice sharp vertical cut on both sides. If you use like bolt cutters or printed circuit board cutters or stuff like that, you will either get one or two edges which are sort of cut at a diagonal, so it comes to like a point, and they don't close as well. They catch a lot easier on things, and because that slanted edge is the silver of the underlying metal, you sort of get that flash of silver which doesn't look as good either. So if you're sort of using silver rings, you might not notice it, but if you're using something like dark green or dark blue, then that would stand out. But it's almost a case of I can do this, and I can do this, or I can make the rings, or I can weave the rings. I can't do both at the same time, so. I guess if I came across some really nice coloured wire, for example, that I couldn't get pre-made rings in, that might be a time to consider doing it. If I wanted a particular colour that I can get the wire for, but I can't buy the rings for it. I think it's that way. This time I got it right. Yeah, possibly for America, but there again, if you're making armour, you'd be making them out of probably steel, or maybe even stainless steel, and that's a bit harder to work, and they're relatively speaking a lot cheaper to buy as well than the anodized aluminium, so it might not even be worth doing with something like that. But to be honest, I think if I wanted armour type chainmail, you can buy it relatively cheap, because there are machines that literally knit with steel wire, and to make things like chainmail, and that's a lot cheaper than handmade chainmail ever will be. Something doesn't look right there. Gone through the corners. Yellow, pink. Oh well. So through the yellow, through that pink, through the yellow, and through that there. Okay, hold it that way, yep, and that's the blue through there and there. Blue through that one and come on, that one and that one. Right, so I want another pink. So I just have to pick up a pink, and that's closed. Pink, that makes 4 of that. Let's pick up 3 blue. And then 4 yellow. 1, 2, 3, 4. Max out the cake. Let's make some armour. Do you want to pay for it? Max out the cake? You are talking of several £1,000s to make armour. Not sure I'd take that one on though, to be honest. For armour like that, I would probably refer you to Mr. Boombati, who specialises in amongst other things, armour. So blue, yellow. But in the meantime, welcome to the studio this evening, Max Out the Cake. Nice to see you back. Yeah, it's not hard to do. It's not on mine either. To be honest, I'm more interested in the pretty stuff. And hold it that way. Yeah, I got that right. I told you it'd be almost finished before I started getting that right. So blue through there, there, that one, and that one. That one, that one. That one, and come on rings, there we go, that's it, go on, there you go. I know you wanted to do that. Yep. You don't have to be mad to talk to rings. You know you're mad though when they talk back. That way. Correct. Okay, and that one and that one through there. Okay, yellow, pink. Is that, and that. That's the last of the pink that I've got here. So just the two blue left. So I'll look that way. Pick that and that up. Like that. And the last blue ring goes through there and through there. Right. That blue one isn't. So there we go. Just see how long that is that we've done there. 4.5 inches. So a bracelet will be 7.5 inches. So a clasp is about 1/2 inch. So it'll be about another 3 inches in order to turn that into a bracelet, or about another 12 inches to turn it into a necklace. Now then, I just saw a ring, this blue one right on the end here, which was just slightly off. Let's tweak that a little bit. There we go. So there we go, guys. Candy cane in candy colours. Right, so that will be it for the stream tonight. So what I'm going to do is say thank you, Ray America, for that. If there's anybody watching that isn't following, then of course I do encourage you to push that follow button and hop back into future streams. On the other hand, if you just want to know when I go live, then you are quite welcome, of course, to follow me on Twitter. I do tweet when a stream goes live. Not when I have my food, so it will only be stream related tweets or art related tweets. On the other hand, if you'd just like to try and catch me, then I will be streaming tomorrow night from approximately 8 PM UK, 1900 hours GMT, or about 2 hours 15 minutes ago was 8 PM in the UK. So that time, tomorrow evening. So thank you all for watching. It has been fun. New weave practiced. Got the hang of. We'll carry on with this, finish it to bracelet length tomorrow, and then try a larger ring size, see whether that works, and then maybe move on to something else. See you all then. Bye bye.